Evening, everyone. It's 7:38. I'd like to call together the May 28th, 2026 school committee meeting. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Superintendent Kelly Clenchey, who will help facilitate the election of the new school committee chair.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As you've read on the agenda, every year we reorganize the school committee. And tonight, the first order of business is to elect a new chair. These positions run on a yearly basis, so we have elections every year. At this time, I'll accept nominations for the position of chair.
I'd like to nominate Elaine Santelman.
Second, perfect. And I do have to ask this, any other nominations? Consider the nominations closed. I'd like to entertain a motion for electing Elaine Santelman as chair of the school committee.
I move that we elect Elaine Sandelman as chair of the school committee.
Second,
I'll second that.
perfect. We're going to have a roll call vote this evening, and we'll start with Janine.
Janine, I.
Elaine, I.
Justin McCarthy, aye. Sean Ahern, aye.
Emily Staver, I.
Congratulations, Elaine.
Thank you very much.
Then I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, before we continue with the rest of the officers, I just want to express my gratitude to Justin for his many long years as chair. He's been the chair as long as I've been on the school committee. I think as long as all of us have been on the school committee. I don't know a school committee without you as chair. But I do appreciate all of the hard work I know that goes on behind the scenes, like your leadership at meetings only touches the tip of the iceberg with the work that you've been doing as chair. So much work behind the scenes with making sure the communication between committee members is solid, that all of our voices are heard, all of your liaison work with other boards in town, your work on the negotiations subcommittee has been a huge amount of time, for which I'm very grateful. Your work on the budget subcommittee, I could go on, but I'm just very grateful for your leadership and look forward to your mentorship as I take on this responsibility and give you a well-deserved break.
Thank you very much.
Use your extra time wisely.
We'll try, and you will do great. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we need to elect the rest of the board members. So I'd like to entertain nominations for vice chair.
I will nominate Sean Ahern as vice chair.
Any other nominations? The motion to elect Sean Ahern as the vice chair.
We'll elect Sean Ahern as vice chair.
I second.
So we'll do a roll call vote. Start Janine.
Janine, I.
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Justin McCarthy, aye. Sean Ahern, aye.
Emily Staver, aye. Okay, welcome to the vice chairmanship. And now we also need to elect a clerk. So I'd like to entertain nominations for the position of clerk.
Nominate Emily Staver.
Second. We second.
Well, now we need a motion. So any other nominations for clerk? Okay, so now we need a motion to elect Annalise Tabor to be the clerk.
I would make a motion that we elect Annalise Tabor to be clerk of the school committee.
Second. A roll call vote.
Yep.
So
You were the second.
I was the second. Yes. I can do that as chair, right?
You totally can. I would.
I don't want to lose my power.
No, you're
Yeah.
good. I'm just making sure. Minutes.
Yes. Roll call vote.
Janine Wood, I.
Elaine Sandelman, aye.
Justin McCarthy, aye. Sean Ahern, aye.
Emily Staver, aye. Great, we have our new clerk.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay,
You want to officially change the
Yeah.
signs or you want me to do it later?
oh,
No,
yeah.
no. Let's
Oh, let's do it. Oh, you've got your sign.
Change the guard.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh.
No, vice chair is Sean.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
okay. There you go. Here's the photo.
That was cool.
Cool. You need a spoon.
I need that at least. Thank you very much.
Now it's official.
We're rearranged.
Okay, so since we're in that business, let's talk about subcommittee appointments. I also want to take this opportunity to clarify what some of these subcommittees are so that we know what we're signing up for. So the first one on the list is superintendent evaluation. So that involves management of the superintendent's evaluation, including compilation of individual members' ratings and presentation of results. So I'm currently on that subcommittee. I'm happy to continue on that one.
Would you be willing to bring on a junior member and help people?
Sure.
But one of the things, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I would love to see us mix up. So that someone who's been doing something a while, for example, I'd be happy to stay on the policy subcommittee, but I'd love to someone else who has never done it to come on, just because I would love to see us all have these.
Yep, that's a great idea. Do you have interest in superintendent evaluation?
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll add you to the list. I think that's a great idea. So I think, should we go down the list and then vote on the whole slate at the end? Otherwise, we're gonna be, there's like, there's a
That would be
lot of
fine.
these. So the next one is the municipal building committee. So that's the town committee appointed by the select board to plan for and oversee construction of town and school buildings. So the current assignment is Sean. Yep. Is that kind of a liaison position, or is that something where you need another member to join you as on the subcommittee?
No, I just want to see on the.
Just one seat, okay. So we've got Sean staying there. The technology subcommittee, so this was one that existed when I joined the school committee 3 years ago. And the language was already there, so I jumped in, but the language says to serve as a liaison between the school committee and the district's technology department, makes recommendations on the implementation of technology. And so when I first joined the school committee, I met with Julie Lord and her Natalie Croto and third person. But basically, they got me up to speed and told me what the what's happening in the technology department, and then they come pretty frequently for us at school committee to give us updates on what they're doing. So after that point, I really didn't meet with them again because we were hearing from them so frequently at school committee. So it made me realize that it's really not really a necessary subcommittee because we don't really need a liaison. Like at any time, we can ask to hear what's happening with technology. So I wanted to propose that we dissolve the technology subcommittee, if that sounds reasonable to everyone else. What do you think?
Hell yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
reasonable.
definitely reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it started to feel like I was getting into operations a bit, which it was kind of an odd topic for a subcommittee. So
That would be
Did
fine.
that come, I wonder if it was created more when we were like on the one-to-one, like.
It was.
One-to-one.
Yeah.
It was, and we actually talked about this last year.
Yeah.
And we decided that we would consider getting rid of that subcommittee.
Yeah.
For
well, let's
the
make it
following
official
year.
this year. We'll
That'll
get
be
rid of
great.
that subcommittee.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then legislation. So that assignment involves keeping up to date on pending legislation, working together with the superintendent on keeping the school committee informed of legislative matters, and occasionally expressing the committee's opinion on legislative matters to our representatives. So currently that's yours, Janine. Do you want to continue?
I
working
can stay on that.
Okay. And again, that feels like sort of a liaison type position. So
It's not it.
I don't think we need a second person on that one.
Well, no, or
Unless you would like something.
if someone wants to be part of it, I'm happy, but we can just keep that open if we want,
Okay.
you know.
Is anyone else interested in legislation?
Yeah, I mean,
We'll add Sean.
yeah, I think that would be,
Thank you.
yeah, to spread out, I mean, share the work and to share the skill building.
And to share the contacts.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we do want to keep contacts onto the entire committee. So I appreciate that.
Okay, then policy's the next one. So this is a full committee responsibility, but, there are two members currently that take an organizational lead for this work. So it was Janine and it was Beanal. So.
Anal totally taught me the ropes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you want to teach Annalise the ropes?
I'm happy to. That sounds like a great
You
plan.
willing to do that?
I really like that. Yeah.
So it'll be Janine and Annalise. And then the oath to bills and payroll. So this requires the ability to stop by central office, usually every Friday morning, to sign school department payroll as official designee representative of the school committee. So right now, that's you, Justin.
Correct. And we could probably update the wording on that because it's mostly DocuSign now.
So you don't have to stop by central office.
Right.
Okay.
I would think it would be appropriate for the chair to assume that responsibility, which also is going to appear later in the meeting.
Yes, it is.
Later on in the agenda.
Sneak peek.
Yep.
You know, as much as I love receiving those emails, I'd be happy to pass that along.
Okay. You definitely do DocuSign.
Okay.
Okay, so put me on that one. Liaison with town government, so this is to serve as a school committee contact with other town boards. So right now, that's you, Justin. Annalise had expressed some interest in that, so I'll let you two talk about it.
Sure. I think what I've come to realize is that a lot of the town personnel or town boards or committees are probably going to approach the chair, which might have been why I assumed that position. So happy to make it you because by default, I think people are going to seek you.
Yeah.
But I'm also happy to continue serving on it because I'm involved in that financial policies working group and have started some of the conversations with some select board members around 28, 29 budget conversations. So
That's fine.
it's up to you really. Like, do you want me to be it or do you want to take it or do you want to share it? I think, no disrespect to you, Annalise, but
not at
I
all.
think it's either got to be the chair or it should stay.
Yeah, and it's just one person because it's a liaison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to confuse.
Yeah, I can do, yeah, I mean, if you feel that as the chair, that would be the natural.
I think people are going to seek you out anyways.
Yep.
Agreed. There's no
Way to
choice.
make that sound. Okay. Then negotiations, so this is to work with the school committee's attorney and superintendent during negotiations with collective bargaining units. Right now, that's me and Justin, we're just finishing up.
You want to give that up? No, we should.
Well, there won't be any activity for 3 years.
So
Yeah.
we should, I'm kidding. We should
There will be
absolutely.
one.
There will be
The
one,
ESP contract?
We need to stay on to continue.
Yes.
All right.
yes,
And
I was assuming we would
Yes.
both stay on that.
as long as you guys don't object.
Nope.
We're
Sounds great.
pretty far along.
Okay, then representative to the Community Services Park and Rec Department to serve as a liaison between the school committee and CSPR. So Sean, you're on
I'm
that.
gonna keep it happy, whatever.
Yep.
So I've started recent conversations with kids and with Rob Brown's around, unknown whatever it's gonna be. Happy to continue that work.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's great. We'll keep you on that. The budget subcommittee, we don't have a description on this one, so maybe you can speak to like a sentence or two, what happens on the budget subcommittee.
Sure. Budget subcommittee makes an entire presentation in March that details this. So the budget subcommittee, it's usually 2 members. It's a heavier lift. It involved meeting with the superintendent and business manager on a somewhat frequent basis. Planning takes course over the entire school year as we fine tune the budget. There's often consultation with the town administrator's office, select board and the finance committee. And prepare the final budget, make the presentation to the school committee, get the school committee to vote on it. And then it goes off the town meeting and the town votes for it as well. Steve Mark is 20 for 20, what was the number? 20 for 20?
Impressive.
20 for 20.
So
And
are
then
you
I'll go
willing
through. Yeah, I'm happy to stay. It's an interest of mine. I'm happy to stay on it. I know Sean had also expressed a lot of interest trying to jump on it last year and this year as well. Gina, and I know you serve on it now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean stepping in is a great plan. Then more
Okay.
people understand, more people know what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's what exposure over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then if, ultimately, if I, totally step away, we've got two
We got,
people who
right,
have served
people
on
who
it. Yeah,
know,
that's good.
yeah.
That's a good plan.
Right.
Yeah.
This follows with your philosophy.
Yeah, more
Everyone
skills
learning
better.
everything. Okay, the next one is safety and security. Sean, you're currently on that. What is the gist of that?
Actually, I'll let Kelly kind of speak to that a little bit.
We meet, depends on the year, usually every 2 months with our resource officers, often the deputy chief of the fire department and police department, principals. And we take a look at safety in all of our schools and review some of our response plans for various emergencies and anything else that we feel needs to be discussed. So it's an opportunity to get an update from our resource officers as well in terms of the things that they're working on in our schools. It's a nice way to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction. And I mean, as you all know, it's imperative that our safety plans at the forefront of every administrator's decision-making every single day. So this just formalizes the importance of it. So
Okay.
it's not too much of a heavy lift.
I'll just say that.
Yeah, no, that would be great. It'd be great to hear a report maybe once a year or,
I can remove that in the fall.
okay.
Yeah.
Seems so long ago now. Okay, and then CPAC, to serve as a liaison between the school committee and CPAC, including reporting on CPAC activities to the full committee. So I'm currently on that. I'm happy to stay on that, hopefully 10 more meetings this year.
I'd be willing to take that off of you since you are assuming quite a few responsibilities here.
That would be great. And you have a personal interest.
I got
in
the
that.
inside scoop a little bit, yeah.
Okay. And then the master plan implementation, Janine, that's currently you. So we were talking about this a little earlier, right now, there's not a lot happening with the master plan, but when there is, it would be good to have a liaison with the school committee. So it feels like it's a little bit in limbo at the moment, but it could heat up.
I mean, I've been part of the master plan a long time ago now, as I'm thinking about planning, but there's also anyone else interested in being that liaison? I will do it. And if anyone, can we switch these in the middle or like we want to stay, but.
I mean,
I
we
just-
can always bring it up for a vote again mid-year, right? If we wanted to switch members on a subcommittee.
Yeah.
So you're not stuck with it.
Oh, okay. Well, I also like as people's interests rise and as people go, hey, this would be what's happening over there, like come to the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so we'll keep you on that for now.
Sure.
And,
yes.
All right, so curriculum and instruction. So this was one that I started when I first joined the school committee because it's a personal interest of mine. I've had a couple meetings with Beth Steele, very enjoyable meetings, talking about things that we both love to talk about. But it feels like it's in the similar category as the technology committee where, Beth presents to the school committee fairly frequently. I don't feel like we really need a liaison position on the school committee to be able to get that information. So as much as I love talking with you, Beth, I'm going to propose that we dissolve that one as well. So Kelly, would you have
That's
thoughts?
fine.
It's not that I'm deprioritizing it. It's just that I don't think it's an appropriate subcommittee, given that things are so transparent. Now we have the research and data analysis subcommittee. So this is one that Penal had started. Sean, you've expressed an interest in picking that up. Sean has proposed this description to use reliable sources such as DESI's database to help the committee make informed decisions. So do you feel like that's, would you like a second person on that subcommittee with you, or do you feel like it's a one-person job?
I'm happy to do whatever you want.
Like, I don't know, that one seems like maybe you would want a second person,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
collaborators,
that's what
or
I'm saying.
well, toss ideas around.
I don't know,
That second person.
Sure.
Hey, oh, perfect.
Annalise?
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like, yeah, that would be a good team for a good job. Okay, we're almost done. So the communications subcommittee, this was something that Sean had started in the last year, but it never had made it onto the list. So we're going to give it a description now. So Sean, you had proposed that the purpose of this subcommittee is to build trust through timely communication, which benefits the community as it pertains to the school district.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious what would be my table discussion on changing that definition just until beginning of the school year, so you can kind of flesh that out. Maybe it's during retreat, but we can kind of flesh that out.
Okay. So the current assignment is Sean and Justin. So do you want to stay on that, or?
Yeah, I'm happy to stay on that. I mean, like, this was Sean's brainchild,
Right.
and he's done a lot of the heavy lifting. I think there's quite a few pieces of communication out there, which is awesome. Like, your ability to communicate to the community has been fantastic. I hear what you're saying in terms of like tabling it. We're gonna have a change in leadership. We can, with the change in leadership, we can report back to the school committee, like, we think the communication subcommittee is more to inform the community of what's happening at the school committee level.
Right.
Is it the committee's opinion, or of what's happening at the district level? Are we advising or guiding central office on what the communication should be? So I think we need to kind of flesh that out with the new leadership, but for now, I'm happy to stay on. Sure, support
Okay,
Sean.
cool. Okay, sounds good. And Annalise has one that she'd like to propose.
Yes, so the Sustainability Subcommittee. To serve as a liaison between the school committee and the Littleton Sustainability Committee, explores and recommends sustainability initiatives to support the town's climate action plan.
Especially given the building we do and
Right.
changes we make.
Yeah.
The fields, the.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I think that would be a great idea.
They're gonna be you, Annalise?
I would like it to be.
Okay,
If it can be.
Sit you on.
If somebody else wants to join me, that's fine too.
So right now, it's kind of a liaison position between, because you've been going to the meetings of the Sustainability Committee.
I've been keeping track of what they've been up to. They
Yeah.
meet at the same time we do.
Oh,
So it's,
okay.
that's the only tricky part, but,
But their meetings are recorded.
some of them are, but not,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's more of a keeping tabs on what they've been working on and speaking with their chair.
Yeah, because it could have implications with our school buildings, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have a slate. So we should make a motion and vote to accept this full slate of subcommittee appointments. Do you want me to read them all out, or?
Can we just
This-
say, I
as-
move to accept the.
As presented.
As
As
presented?
presented, the slate of subcommittee assignments as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, carries. Thank you for going through that with me. It's good to have that updated. Okay, so now we're getting to the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes from the May 14th, 2026 school committee meeting and the oath to bills and payroll. So I just need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I move to accept the consent agenda and the minutes from the May 14th, 2026 meeting, as well as bills and payroll.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, that carries. Okay, so we have our first opportunity for interested citizens. Is there anyone either present or online that wishes to speak?
There's nobody online.
Nobody online? No one here? Okay, and next up on the agenda is the recognition portion of the agenda, but I see Kavya is not here today, so Ellie, do you want to give a report
Yeah, I think
from the superintendent?
if you wouldn't mind, I'll just do a quick update, maybe ask the principals to highlight 2 or 3 things. Tonight, or this time of year is so busy in our schools that want to make sure that we get some key information out there, because before you know it, it's going to be June 18th. I'll start off with recognizing all the hard work that went into the Special Olympics that we held last week. Kudos to Mrs. Desolets for all the hard work. It's unbelievable how much work goes into something like that. We had 5 different districts participate in the event. It was a great day. Weather was good. We hired a DJ that kept the kids dancing and moving all day long, and one of my favorite activities to attend every year. So, thank you to all the staff and students who came out to volunteer, all the Rotary clubs in those 5 different areas for donating money. Certainly helped for us to even set a new bar for what Special Olympics should look like moving forward. And my wish is that day continues on for many more years. Other than that, we all know that graduation is coming up June 5th at 5:30 p.m. We'll get to celebrate our class of 2026, which is always really special. And tonight we have an awards ceremony going on at the high school. That's why our students couldn't be here this evening. And I'm going to turn it over to Keith. Do you have anything else?
Sure.
Show the high school?
Up here.
Sure.
Good evening. Yeah, so as Kelly mentioned, tonight is our senior send-off at the high school and our senior award ceremony. It's a really great event to celebrate the culmination of the seniors' time here at the Wilton Public Schools. Tomorrow is our senior parade. They start at school with the breakfast and they parade around the town in their cars by all the other schools, the Shaker Lane School and then middle school and Russell Street School, and coming back to the high school at the end, and they do their final countdown. Monday is their senior trip. They go to Martha's Vineyard, which is always a nice event for the seniors to get together one last time before they head off on their own next journeys. And then, as Kelly mentioned, Friday is graduation. What else? What we had. Obviously, we're finishing up the school year. We finished our senior final exams. We had the MCAS last week. We have MCAS coming up next week for the 9th graders in science. And our underclassmen final exams are coming up, and starting on the 12th. So the last 4 or 5 days of the year for the underclassmen is their final exams, and so we're really trying to wrap things up and finish strong.
Thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, we finished the final MCAS test of the year for our 8th graders. It's a lot. They have civics, science, math, ELA, plus MAP testing. And then this year they were we were selected to do alternate testing as well before all that. So our current 8th graders had quite a slate of testing. So today was the last and final day. We celebrated with some snow cones outside afterwards, and I think you could just feel the relief. We're seeing a real strong finish to the end of the year. Our promotion ceremony will be on Wednesday the 16th, and followed by the trip to New Hampshire on the 17th, and then the final day. We have our Golden Tiger Awards that we're going to do on the final day as an assembly to sort of honor everybody who's done a great job this year. So we've got some good things coming up. So we finally passed all of that, and we get to really enjoy the next 3 weeks. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Colin?
I've read my calendar.
We are also wrapped up with MCAS, but still finishing up our end of year benchmark testing. Looking at next week, Monday, we have our spring chorus and band concert in the afternoon. Our 5th graders go to their field trip in Cedarland on Wednesday. Our 3rd and 4th graders have field day on the 3rd on that day. Our fifth graders head over to the middle school next Friday, the 5th, to check out their new digs. Then fifth graders head over to the library the following week. We're welcoming second graders from Shaker Lane up to Russell Street on the 10th. Fifth graders have field day on the 12th, which brings us to the last week of school where we are welcoming High Tech, High Touch for all of our third grade students. Shark Tank projects for our fifth graders, and a fifth grade clap off on the final day of school. I know I missed other stuff, but
Wow.
there's a lot going on.
It's a lot. Thank you. Michelle?
Rattle off everything that's going on. This is actually a big week for us. While everybody's closing up the year, we're gearing up. We have kindergarten registration this week. I'm sorry, we have kindergarten screening this week. We had kindergarten ambassador tours on Tuesday night where we invited kindergarten families to come in, tour the building, see what it's like, ask questions of current kindergarten families. We had one parent volunteer to help Rebecca and I tour. So that is like, I love that we're winding down, but at Shaker Lane, we're winding down. We're also preparing for next year. So we also have field day coming up. We have book swap next week. We have kindergarten's zoo trip next week. We have pre-K graduation coming up. We have move up day going to Russell Street, water day, lots of stuff going on between now and the end of the year. So it's fun. It's fun packed and we'll get there. I believe someone said like 15 days left of school.
That wasn't me.
All I'm thinking of is all the scheduling all those buses for field trips. So that's like a job in itself.
It is. Thank
Very
you.
exciting. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have several presentations on the agenda tonight.
Elaine, if you wouldn't mind, could we do the CPAC annual update first?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So we'll move that up from the second place to the first place. So this is the CPAC annual update. So members of the CPAC leadership team will give an update on the CPAC events for the 2025-2026 school year and plans for the coming school year. We have a slideshow there in the packet. That will be the second set of slides. Just a couple slides.
Give me a second.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
It's right after the,
For sure, you probably, I don't know if you got one last year.
Need to give one, yeah.
Both of them. Now we're gonna more.
All right, hold on 1 second, sorry. Getting there.
So we're here tonight just to give you a quick overview of what we accomplished this year and some ideas we have for next year. Next slide, please. So just if anyone is not aware, CPAC is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. And we work with the district and parents just to kind of bring everybody together and make an environment where all students are able to contribute and have the same opportunities. Next slide, please. So we wanted to start off with a new little project we did this year for staff appreciation. The CPAC sent out an email to all the families we have in our group. And we gave them the opportunity to share appreciation for a staff member who works with their special needs child. So it was a Google form, really simple, and we had an excellent response. We got 25 families who responded, 8 Shaker Lane, 9 Russell Street, 6 from the middle school, 2 from the high school. and then we shared the responses with the staff member and the administrators. And I did a little analysis of all the responses. I gave you some examples on the board, but I did a little analysis, and the most commonly used words were supportive, team, collaborative, progress, success, growth, caring, and kindness. So excellent words that we like to hear in the special education field. So parents are incredibly grateful for the individualized support and care that teachers are providing in our schools. And they're seeing a lot of progress in their children. So we were thrilled. So some really nice comments.
Yeah, so next slide. This slide is an overview of what our calendar looked like this year. And I'll just, explain a couple of the meetings. We started with just a leadership meeting and looking at IEPs, if people had questions. And then the next one in October, we had a local mom who's a coach, and she wanted to kind of offer parent support and helping parents build resilience, especially in this, special ed parents. And that was really helpful, a lot of like mindfulness skills. And then in November, we were offered to have someone from the Board of Special Ed Appeals speak about the mediation process. So she did I think that was virtual orientation, and they're doing that across like the state orientation on what mediation is. But that was very interesting. December, we just offered a social, and then in January, we also had another former Littleton parent who has experience in this. She did a presentation on transitioning, Jen Stack, she did a presentation on the transition from high school to college with kids with disabilities. So that was, again, really interesting and not an area we get to hear a lot from. So, and then I think, the 25th in March was just the workshop. We don't really have to adopt one anymore, or we don't have to run one anymore, but we did kind of adopt the Federation workshop, and we chose this one on evaluation and eligibility. And then in April, we offered a book club, the book Autism Out Loud, which was really well received. And then, we have a meeting next week where we're going to hold elections, hopefully. And I don't know. And I think that's it. And then the next one was just, we haven't sat down formally on ideas for next year, but we threw together some. And one idea was to have a program, on transition. Maybe something on mental health.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we're working on transitioning from the middle school to the high school.
Yeah.
That seems to be a big gap for parents. So we're trying to work on some different things.
And there's we worked on some FAQs.
Actually, I was thinking it would be nice to do like what they do for the kindergarten parents, but for the a high school parent shows around the freshman parents, but we're working on that. So.
And then, then some other ideas through up there, system technology. And also kind of going back to work with Parks and Rec, which we did a couple of years ago, and trying to get them back at the table. That'd be great. So, anything? You guys have questions? Yeah.
I just want to say, Autism Out Loud is a great book.
Yes.
You guys did that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. It was very fun.
Yeah. And it really touches for any family with special needs like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you for being on the subcommittee that was looking at the new superintendent. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah. And thanks for letting CPAC have a role there. It's great.
Absolutely. Obviously, Allison.
Yeah.
Well, I want to really commend you for how active the group has been this year. And, I know last year was your sort of redevelopment year, trying to put CPAC back together again. And you finally had elections for board members, and you've really hit the ground running. Like, these are really interesting, solid topics, and I hope that your membership has been growing.
Yeah.
Slow but sure.
Yeah, little.
We're still experimenting virtual, in
Yeah.
person, what works better for
Yeah.
times. and
It's always
things,
tricky
but-
because parents are busy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
offering such a wonderful opportunity for, collaboration and supporting each
Right.
other
Yeah.
through, it's not always an easy journey when you've got a student with disabilities in your family. I did have another idea that came to mind. We talked so much about UDL as a district priority, and there's, big implications for students with disabilities. So I don't know if that's an opportunity for a future meeting idea to learn more about how UDL strategies can be applied for students that are on IEP.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the assistive technology could be in that too.
Yep.
Some accommodations and things, so, yeah. Definitely.
It was great. The people we did have were all kind of community members, so we were able to tap into local resources for these workshops. So that was really nice too.
Well, thank you for all of your work supporting our parents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can go back now to the update on the school improvement plans. So school administrators will focus on the two major goals for the 25-26 school year. So I looked back I was looking at these slides and they looked familiar. I was like, where did I see this before? So it was back on October 9th. The principals came to us with their school improvement plan goals for the year. And that was at that time that they were aligned to the strategic plan. So we heard more about the goals. So now we're going to hear how it all turned out. Yeah, so
Thank you.
Michelle Kane for Pickering.
So our first goal was to enhance the ability to recognize an underlying message behind students who are experiencing behaviors, could be anxiety, or whatever behaviors. And one of the things we did this year was the action steps is we redid our reflection sheet. So our reflection sheet was, what didn't you focus on in heart? And we worked so hard on how to show heart. It was kind of like, well, how are you breaking it down? It didn't make sense to us. So we revamped that this year and made it a visual. I believe at some point, I think it was when we did the portrait of a learner, we did some updates too. So I think I shared that visual with you guys. So our think sheet is really about, there are a lot of visuals. We talk about the zones of regulation, green zone. How are you feeling? How do you think the other person felt? How can we make this right? What happened? And it was such a great visual process where before it was, how are you not honest? How did you not show effort? How did you not take responsibility? So this felt more primary for us. So the interesting part, I'm going to jump over to the indicators of success. I looked at the amount of think sheets we had this year and reflection sheets we had last year, in addition to some supports we put in place to help the kids. And we had, I think, one more think sheet this year than last year, which I guess is okay. We're kind of working at the same level, but it really would be great to get them down more. So I think creating the sheet, using the sheet. The second thing we have in there is our response team meetings. Every other Thursday, we meet with our response team. So myself, the assistant principal, the school adjustment counselor, the school psychologist, Allie Gilman, our special education administrator, and our RBT. And we look at who are the calls that we are, which is the next one as well. Who are we responding most to a call? Who needs the support the most? What do we put in place? And when we track our response call log, we're really looking on how did we get the kid back on track? Yes, we're looking at what were the behaviors, but how did we get the kid back on track? How can we emulate that again? What can we bring to another student? So every other Thursday we meet, we talk about, we usually call them our tier 2, tier 3 kids that are really having a challenging time expressing their behavior, in a just a maladaptive way. We're really trying to shape that into communication. I'm angry. I need a break, whether it's holding up a card, using those words, a signal with the teacher. So we put that in place this year. I feel good about it. When I analyzed the response call log, it was great to see at the beginning of the year, well, not great at the beginning of the year, but now it is, a number of children responding to And now at the end of the year, we're tweaking it down to maybe 2 or 3 kids, as opposed to maybe like 6, 7 kids at the beginning of the year. So really looking at, the children are growing, we're growing, we're putting the supports in place for them. Just really putting all our heads together and documenting this so we can have this resource. So the indicators of success, it's a shared document we have for the response meeting, so we can go back to it as a response team and look at what is working for our kids. And we have seen a reduction in response calls for the students because we're really looking at, again, not the behavior, how do we get this child back on track? So that was our first goal. And our second goal, I'm going to let you read it. And while you read it, I'm going to tell you, it kind of tweaks a little bit because we were looking at the Wit and Wisdom program and we're trying to say, how is that rooted in the 5 pillars of reading? And as we got into it and we started to look at our PD this year and what we wanted to do, the action steps weren't really focused more on the goal. It was how are we supporting the Wit and Wisdom program? How are we building the scaffolds? So we realized that, our pillars of reading, the phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, comprehension, pieces of that are in Wit and Wisdom, but a lot of that comes from our Foundations program. It comes from our Heggerty program, our phonemic awareness program. So we felt like we had that solid and we really just focused, how do we support our Wit and Wisdom program? So we partnered with Lesley University this year. And that was really good. On the right-hand side, you'll see a couple of things that came out of that. The person that we partnered with, she really asked the teams, K1 and 2, what did they want to focus on? Kindergarten, they wanted to align their lessons very closely with the Wit and Wisdom program because they have like target pieces that they have to teach, like a must teach. And then there's other things that are repetitive. And while some classes needed that, other classes didn't. So they really sat together to say, okay, what are our, I'm losing the word, what are our required tasks? I think it was, and those have to be done. But then how many of those are repeated in the lesson? And if my class is solid, but my partner's class isn't solid, they're going to need the reteaching, but we can shave that down and then focus on other things. So the kindergarten team worked closely to look at lessons and really pare them down to things that were more manageable for the students in front of them. We also, with Lesley University, we scaffolded some focused question tasks, which come at the end of every arc that the kids are studying. And they came up with a few, Elaine, you mentioned UDL. So the focused questioning task is usually a written component of what they've learned. And when you look at them, I'm making this up, but maybe there's like 6 or 7 in one module that focus on the final module and a module task assessment. But out of those 5 or 6 FQTs, the teachers are like, can we do something a little different? Does it have to be a writing task? If we're getting those writing components in the other FQTs, can we make one of them a little different? So some of the ideas that they came up with this year was they only changed like 1 or 2 per module. So comic strips to tell a story. So the kids would draw out a comic strip and then they would retell the story. So the prompt is still the same, but now they're putting it in a visual display. A poster that explains the task of the focus question. A foldable where it's just kind of like you have maybe the beginning, the middle, the end, and then making an actual book, like a written book of the story. So those are some of the ways that gave children a little bit more autonomy on how to express what they know, as opposed to just the written task of the focus questioning task. We also spent some time in our staff meetings with Julie Lord and our staff that are getting really savvy with Gemini on creating gems in Gemini, which was a learning process for us. So a gem is something that Gemini, which is our district's, the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our district's AI format, similar to ChatGPT. So when you create a gem, it holds it there, and then you can hold a gem. So create a lesson for me that is, or take this lesson and give me some scaffolded supports for students who have difficulty with comprehension. So that gem will stay there, and then the teacher can link the lesson and get some scaffolded ideas to help students that have comprehension challenges. So we spent some time with staff on that, and just really took some dedicated team time and grade level time to go over this, let them feel comfortable, experiment, talk with their teams, and we made some good headway with that, and really using and seeing Gemini as a task to make things you know, working smarter, not harder for them.
Any questions for Michelle?
Look, I love the way that you're using technology to improve the classroom today.
I'm trying to go last now. So, but I always have questions. So I was so happy to back up to your previous goal. So happy to read that you're focusing on recognizing the underlying messages behind student behaviors because, they are telling us something like no child is bad. They're trying to tell you something with your behavior. And I love that that's being recognized in a goal and that you're teaching kids to explicitly name their emotions. Like that's just so important. So I'm really glad that you were finding success with that. So the response call log, is that like when a classroom teacher reaches out for extra support because someone's dysregulated?
Yep.
And you're tracking the
Yep.
responses?
So we might get a call from Michelle Kane because she's just under the table and it's been 20 minutes, 30, we're trying to coax her out. And so there's only 5 of us that really have access to, there's 5 of us that have access to that log, and there's like 4 of us that respond to calls, myself, the assistant principal, school adjustment counselor, the school psychologist, and our RBT. She's usually our first person to call.
Well, thank you for that work and that positive messaging too. I think that's really great for building climate in school. And I'm also so happy to hear that you're, with your Wit and Wisdom implementation, that you're at the point where you can really start looking at it and how to make it work best for your students. So you're no longer, in that phase where you're just trying to do it the way it's written. And now you're thinking of, making it your own and adapting it for the needs of students. So that's really exciting to hear that.
Yeah, I think they were ready this year.
Yeah.
Last year, I think they wanted to change things, but they probably didn't know how to change it because it was all so new.
Yeah.
So I think getting a year under their belts, that's good.
Congratulations
All right.
on some great goals.
Thank you.
Progress.
Thank you so much.
And Colin from the Russell Street School.
Hello, everyone. Fortunately for Russell Street, a lot of the action steps and indicators of success are things that I've already presented to the school committee because when we've talked about portrait of a learner or UDL, a lot of that ties into the goals that Russell Street was already working on. But I'm happy to kind of put a cap on it for this year for Russell Street. So our first goal was to create multiple opportunities for students to share their voice and ideas and opinions and take the lead on many of our Stripe initiatives and our Stripe assemblies, because we want them to own what it means to have and show Stripe. Elaine, I think back to when I presented in October and you asked me, what is success going to look like? How are we going to measure whether that goal has been successful? And I think at the time I said to you, well, when we have assemblies, if the microphone is in the students' hands more than it's in the adults' hands, I think that we'll be on the right track. And I'm happy to say that is certainly how it happened this year. We have a Stripe team of teachers who meet monthly to plan these activities and plan these events. And on every agenda, when we're talking about it, we're always coming back to how can we make sure that students are more involved in this process and they're taking the lead and having the ownership over what it means to show Stripe at Russell Street. So just a few of the indicators of success. I've got their Tiger Talk newscast, which was a neat idea for one of our Stripe assemblies. I think it was the Taking Responsibility Assembly, and we put together groups of students who had earned the Taking Responsibility stripe, and we had some 5th graders serve as the anchors of this newscast, and they had special correspondents that were scattered throughout the different buildings. We brought the whole school into the cafeteria, and we had a news broadcast that was really a Google Meet where the kids made that news broadcast. And then now we'll go over to the recess yard where, so-and-so is going to tell us about what it means to take responsibility, at recess. And okay, let's head over to the hallway and go to Charlie, who's in the nook, to talk about what it means to take responsibility in the hallway. So a really student-centered approach. for that. We had a winter band concert for the first time for our students. So shortly after the all district winter band concert, we invited our fifth graders to perform for their peers for our perseverance stripe assembly, because those fifth graders have really persevered to learn an instrument for the first time. We continued on with our student nominated stripe awards. So typically students earn stripes from their teachers, but starting last year and carried over into this year, their classmates can nominate other peers to earn a stripe when they've recognized a peer that's been doing, showing the expectations of the school. It was fresh in my mind when I made the slide last week. Our fifth graders completely led a Memorial Day assembly where they taught their classmates and their peers all about the history of Memorial Day, the significance of the poppy, all about our different armed forces. And I'll tell you that I think our students were more respectful toward our fifth graders when they were presenting than sometimes when their principal has the microphone. We've had a group of third grade students who have made Russell Street News when they have a win block, and they hand deliver me a new edition of the Russell Street News about what's going on in school, and we've been able to laminate those and put them in Chillville for any students that are taking a break and they want to flip through the different news articles that third graders have written. And then our Spectrum of Sound program that we brought in that was also at the high school, all of the introductions and all of the explanations and all of the things that to welcome that wonderful group into our school was done by our own students. So just lots of great student voice happening at Russell Street. And I'm really happy to keep that going because when our students have control over, what the expectations are and where we want to be as a school, it certainly holds a lot more weight when it's coming from the third, fourth, and fifth graders. Our second goal is similar to Michelle's around wit and wisdom and our continued implementation. This year, folding in universal design for learning into that year 2 of implementation. I've mentioned a lot of this before when we presented on UDL, but I'll just quickly talk about at the beginning of the year, all of our teams did a look-fors self-assessment when it comes to UDL and their own practice to kind of start us off and kind of thinking about where we currently are and where we want to go. I've spoken about that UDL Padlet where we looked at some of the more common wit and wisdom types of lessons, and we've kept that Padlet going throughout the year where teachers can continue to drop new ideas that they've tried in their classrooms. For something that comes up again and again, like a turn and talk or a Socratic seminar, and the different ways in which our teachers are now approaching that task while maintaining the same objective, but just reaching their students in different ways. We have also used AI in some of our professional development, and a few of us at Russell Street went to an AI summit where we brought back lots of great ideas for new ways to prompt Gemini or ChatGPT to get the good stuff that is going to be really helpful for our teachers without having to kind of go through lots of different types of promptings where it's not really giving you what you want. There's some really great workshops on how to prompt appropriately for teachers specifically to get what they want. We also partnered with Lesley University and had a consultant that worked with us throughout the year. And I think one of the biggest indicators for success was that last bullet point in the bottom right. The last time that our consultant was here, I had asked her to meet with all of our teaching teams and then try to get to as many classrooms as possible during their wit and wisdom block. And she was able to do that. And then we had some time at the end of the day to debrief, and she could share her notes with me because she was kind of doing it on her own because I didn't want anything to influence what teachers were doing in their classroom. And the first thing she said to me when she sat down was, students have a lot of choices in how they're interacting with wit and wisdom. We're doing it. Okay, that's great. That's great to hear. So I was really happy and proud of our teachers for really taking that on. Year 2 of implementation is a different type of beast than year 1 was, but equally difficult and challenging. But I think it's our teachers are starting to see where they can find their own voice in this curricular program, where they need to make those tweaks based on the students in front of them. And I think for year 3, right, we're just going to continue that work on, and then maybe find the things that the program itself is lacking or missing so we can then fill the gaps in there. So excited for the next steps.
Right, thank you.
I think the newscast idea is phenomenal.
That was so cool. Yeah, it was really fun. I have a photo of Miss Romano was out with a student holding up a laptop outside in the cold, like holding up the Google Meet so the student could like do her newscast. And Miss Romano was just standing there in the cold, you know, letting the student run the show. So it's fun.
Great work.
Yeah, awesome. The Memorial Day Assembly, like what a great idea, having the students.
Yeah, that was all the fifth grade team. The kids did a really nice job.
Yeah.
Did the Leslie University liaison bring anything to work on in the future?
Yeah, so the first time that she came and worked with our teachers, she had a really good process and protocol for how to look at a wit and wisdom lesson and make those adjustments based on what was needed in a particular class. So it was a good way, and a different way than teachers had initially learned from our first year of implementation on kind of dissecting a lesson plan, but through the lens of what might I need to adjust to make it make sense for my classroom and the students that I have in front of me. So the teachers kind of learned that, and then she stuck around to help them through that process and protocol, and they continued to use it for the rest of the modules.
A new set of eyes.
Yeah,
Nice, thank you.
Well, I just want to celebrate your progress with these great goals. I do remember asking you in October, what's success going to look like? And I think, you know, with your first goal, so much of it is building school culture, and your indicators of success really speak to that, you know, the students are starting to feel like Russell Street School is their school, you know, that they're not doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. And that's just so exciting to hear. And with Wit and Wisdom, you know, like at Shaker Lane, you know, how exciting to be in this year of implementation where teachers can start to feel like they can make the adjustments that they, as the brilliant professionals that they are going to make it work for their students in front of them. So it's now the fun part starts, right?
yeah.
So congratulations on your success.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Jason for the middle school.
Thank you. So the first goal we looked at was really trying to take UDL from theory and concept and really trying to apply it, but moving it to something a little bit more than just, you know, choice boards and certain work. And so one of the goals that I had challenged staff with was really to bring in the concept of a student-led, student-generated project. And it sounds simple and it sounds like something we already always do, but it's hard to let go of that control where you are just turning it over to the student and letting them sort of guide themselves. And so while we do plenty of project work, takes on a little bit of a different meaning. So really we started working with early adopters, for people that really wanted to get in and see it first. Because, you know, for some who have been teaching a long time, or for some who haven't seen this play out, you know, it might not be as easy to just accept that and roll with it. So the idea was if we can get somebody on each team to try it out, right, see how it works, and then be able to then, hopefully encourage their teammates to do the same. And so we did have some of those early adopters, and some of them went really well. You know, others were, could be clunky because it's a process. And what we really want to do is we really want to break it down into its spots. So we're just not just saying, hey kid, here's a project, you pick what you want to do, I'll see you, in 2 weeks. But we really want to be able to provide total freedom, yet with the guardrails that make this thing end up where it's supposed to. And so that's one of the goals in the next school improvement plan, is to really take that to the next level. And how do we really start to think backwards about what that looks like and how do we implement that? So I'm excited to see where this goes. In terms of the second goal, one of the things that we really set out to do a couple of years ago was find new ways to connect with families in our community. Middle school parents just don't often have opportunities to really get together. We see that more at the elementary, and I think, sports and other things at the high school bring that. The middle school, so many of the kids don't want their parents around, and we don't do, room parents and those kind of things. So we lack that. And so one of the concepts that came up from a school council meeting was, we have parents who are new to Littleton, right? And who are new to the middle school, but they don't know anybody else. They didn't grow up here and they, you know, they're not from a certain neighborhood, but they're finding it hard to crack into sort of the Littleton town culture. And so we thought, well, this would be a perfect opportunity to, you know, bring some people in and get them to be a part of the middle school. So we partnered with the PTA and we hosted our first LMS trivia night. And it was done at the Craft Beer House or Craft Food Halls down in Boxborough. And it was awesome. Like we probably had like 24 families show up. Kids were there. Like it was a great trivia night. We did like, are you smarter than a 6th grader? And you know, the middle school principal is very competitive and he did not like losing to 7th graders. But we you know, we're part of teams and it was just a lot of fun. It was great for me because, you know, so many times when you're talking to parents or students, it's academic. This took the rails off of that. And we had families show up who didn't really know anybody else and they were part of other teams and other groups. And so I left there feeling, you know, really, really jazzed about that. And so that's something that we're going to continue to do next year and hopefully build it up even more. So thank you to our PTA for taking that on. They did a great job. And I think it was just one of those nights that doesn't happen very often. And so if we can recreate that every year and try to provide some of our newer families opportunities to be with somebody that their kids did grow up playing soccer with, this would be a really good opportunity. So that's kind of where we're at.
Great.
Sean?
I talked a little bit to Juliana a little bit about the event. It's great. And so you guys have the Dirigible event in the fall.
Yep.
Are you bought my tickets?
Yeah, okay. If not, she's going to be calling you.
No, but I love how you're trying to pull community in, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a small town. Community really shows up and it's great to get your truck pulled in.
And I do, and I've said this here before, but I really do feel like the middle school in any town should really be the hub where so much of this happens because it just traditionally does lack those things. And so we're working overtime to really try and make this something that it's a place that families want to be a part of and want to connect with. Thank you.
Great. I'm curious with the UDL assessments, the student-led assessments. Do you find that they're harder on themselves than the teachers would be, or easier on themselves than the teachers would be? Or does it not fall into a pattern?
Yeah, it's hard to say. They become incredibly creative, the kids, in what they do. One of the things that we're really going to build into the goal for the next SIP is executive functioning and reflection. Because while the kids did everything that they were supposed to do, it's something that I felt like we didn't do a good enough job of. It's really bringing that back. And it's hard to get 11-year-olds to really think critically about their work. And what we want to do is we don't want it to be just like, oh, hey, it could have been better. It could have looked like this. But really, we want to talk about the process, right? We want to talk about, you know, where those areas of strength, but those areas, not just in the final product, but in what they're doing. And also embedding some executive functioning skills, time management, materials management. You know, these kind of things so that you don't end up with, because you're always going to have the kids who get it done early and it's awesome. And then you're always going to have the kids that are doing last minute. So I think it shows an area of need that if we're going to go in this direction with these student-led projects, we've got to support our students with those basic skills that they need to be able to do that. I think it's too much to ask them to do this without giving them those skills. So that's going to be a real focus of what we do look forward. Is how do we teach executive functioning and how do we embed it into what we're doing so that they're developing those skills as they
Sounds like great UDL strategies, you know, offering it to some, but it's good for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Exciting.
we'll see. I'm excited about where this will go.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for your innovation.
All right. Thank you.
That's great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Keith, come on up for the high school.
Actually, before I get into the update here, I have to mention the financial literacy fair which we had last week as a community event. It's something that we've had the past couple of years, and it's a great event for our seniors to experience some of the reality check in a lot of ways of what life will look like once they get out of high school. A lot of community volunteers, Hannah Baden, Maddie Smith, the two teachers that kind of ran it for us. I know I saw Sean there. Kelly was there, and it's a great event to expose kids to those real world things. I didn't mention it in my update before, and I felt I had to as part of the update for the school committee about recent events in the high school. And hearing from Jason about his community event really sparked in my mind that I have to mention this again. So,
Did they make a video again like they did last year?
we should have had a video, but it was enhanced event this year. They had music playing the entire time. It was much more like fun kind of atmosphere than they have in the past. There's, you know, all the different community tables around with all the different, the same, I guess, necessary components, but it was a lot more fun. They had the raffles for kids to win prizes, and it's a really fun event, number one, but also a very important event for kids to learn some of these realities before they go off into the world. So
It's really good.
yeah, it was great. So going back to our goals, the first of our goals really tied into the developing methods of assessment for what proficiency looks like with our portrait of learner, and how it was really tied into our NEASC visit, which happened a couple of weeks ago at this point. And obviously the first step of that was updating what we had started at the high school as a vision of a graduate and transitioning that to the portrait of learner, you know, connecting with the whole district, part of a more streamlined process from grade, you know, pre-K to 12 in terms of the portrait of a learner. There was a presentation in February to the school committee about our progress in the portrait of a learner in particular. Some of the activities that we did this year is that we did spend a lot of building-based PD on really developing that roadmap activities and identifying the learning opportunities in each course. And the teachers have a shared document that all teachers contributed to for all the courses, and the kids have access to those documents as well as they look at reflecting on their progress in the different competency areas. There's, you know, memory joggers of, oh, this is what I did in, you know, my English class this year or my math class this year or whatever it is, and they can use those to develop their evidence and put it to their portfolios for their own individual portrait of a learner digital portfolios. So the formal process for assessing student progress is underway. We did, you know, roll it out this year, and we had students, you know, compile evidence for 2 of the competency areas. They could kind of pick which 2 they want to this year. It was just for grades 9, 10, 11. We've exempted grade 12 for this year just because, you know, they're already seniors when we started this process, so we exempted them this year. But grades 9, 10, 11, you know, did participate this year in the reflective process of identifying their key learning opportunities and how they've grown as a learner in 2 of the 6 competency areas. So there was this tiered role of the student reflection of their skills and their advisories. And the indicators of success, obviously, we did host the NEASC visit from May 3rd to 6th. It was a very successful visit, and they were very happy with our progress. And from what they reported to us at the conclusion of our visit, the progress in all of our priority areas, one of which was developing a way of assessing the portrait of a learner. Again, we've had students compiling evidence in their digital portfolios, and grades 9 and 11 did actually present during their advisories this year. So every student had the opportunity to present to their peers in their advisories for now of their progress in those 2 competency areas. So in the next year, we'll continue with the work and add more of the areas to each student's portfolio, number one, but also their presentation at the end of the year as we continue to develop, you know, a more clear picture of what this process looks like. You know, we did a lot of work, you know, over the past year and a half or so with NEASC in particular, with John Clements and Mary Moran from NIPMUC and their process with the portrait of a learner. I know the whole leadership team had a PD with them. Our high school team met with them twice separately from that district-wide thing. So and they really explained how their process was really iterative in nature. And then we're seeing the same thing with our own. So as we continue through the next couple of years, we'll really finalize how we want to have students portray their successes in the portrait of a learner and in their digital portfolio. So a successful first year of implementation. We've had some successes in terms of the student presentations in their portfolios. The second big goal really focused on the MTSS process at the high school and really refining how we were doing things. So we spent a lot of time this year in a variety of activities. You know, the SST members attended workshops with MSAA, focusing on effective practices around the MTSS process, the SST protocol, et cetera. The school counselors participated in a PD around tiered supports. We recently went through the district-wide integrated monitoring review through DESE, which actually I think we'll hear a little bit more from Lynn shortly about that. So we worked with that and looking at our processes and our tracking of student data in terms of our interventions in the data tracking process through there. We just last week had a updated MTSS SST presentation to our staff as part of the, actually it's Friday on the half day during our PD. And then by next month, we'll have a revised SST manual to get to the staff as we roll into next year. So again, the indicator of success is that we do have a newly updated process through which we get teacher referrals for students through SST, how we implement strategies to help support students and track that progress through more consistent documentation. We did improve collaboration this year with SST, with our Academic Support Center, and really using the Academic Support Center as a way to provide more structured tiered intervention and track progress and communicate more effectively between the ASC and the SST and the classroom teachers and families as well. The teacher of the ASC does a lot of weekly or bi-weekly updates with parents about progress in the ASC in a variety of areas, obviously. And as we move forward, we're again going to be increasing the emphasis with our SST on the documentation of interventions and progress monitoring of those interventions over time in a variety of categories. Attendance, it's been a big focus of the district over the past couple of years. So keeping our eyes on those numbers, as well as the academic progress, grades, behavior, social emotional support, all the different arms of the MTSS process. Question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to say again, the financial literacy fair was great. That was awesome. And I love seeing, I know Steve Mark was there, he was manning the booth. I know there was like a local realtor that was doing it. Like, I love how the communities kind of get involved with that. It was awesome. And I think, I don't want to say it from Justin, I think Justin last time presented or so presented, mentioned how great it is that this portrait learner will kind of like help as kids interview for things. So they kind of present themselves to the world, and a really awesome thing is the world's kind of changing, and you absolutely have to figure out who you are pretty quickly.
Yeah, man, the self-reflection that's required in this portrait of a learner portfolio stuff is really going to, like you said, help students identify their learning styles, their strengths, their interests, and all those things. I was talking to a parent today about like post high school planning, and they're saying how the kid doesn't really know what they want to do and where they want to go, whether it's 2-year school, 4-year school, going to the workforce or whatever, and looking at the next year and a half for this kid, it's going to be really instructive of like what the next steps look like and how what they want to do for post high school. So it's great. It's great.
Is each student required to be able to stand up and present and so we're working on those?
Yeah, each student is required to do the portfolio and the presentation. As of right now, we are just doing in the advisory, so it's a much smaller group. And so they're in front of the peers that they're with for the entirety of the year, in some cases 4 years, and with the same teacher. And obviously if there are some students that have some trepidation about that, we work with that. And the individual advisory teachers have some latitude to how the presentations actually roll out. But every student at this point, 9, 10, 11, is required to do it.
Like Sean said, that's such an important life skill.
Absolutely.
So my questions are kind of related. I remember the February meeting, we were all so excited about the portrait of a learner, and we were talking about it like in theory. And then tonight you shared the example of students presenting to their advisors. So it made me sort of think through the operational aspect of this. And just correct me if I'm wrong, like the seniors really didn't have any requirement this year because they're tail end.
Correct.
And we're going to sort of phase this in. So my understanding was that it's like the current freshmen, full-blown portfolio by the time they're seniors.
Yes.
I think was my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it was Janine, I was exactly thinking what you were thinking, which is what's the requirement? Where does the requirement fall for the students to complete this? Because while it's a great concept, is there actually a requirement for them to do this? Because it's not in a class. Do they get a grade on it?
It's a graduation requirement. It is not graded.
Graduation requirement?
Yes, it's a requirement of graduation.
Perfect.
It's not graded per se.
Okay.
It's assessed through
Pass fail. Like you either did it or you did.
Correct.
And then do the students sort of monitor it and build it themselves? So they are given access to a portfolio, and then they sort of plug their own assignments and work into it and evaluate
what's my best example of this, and they can tweak it, and it's something that they own as they go, or
Yes.
is an assignment given, and it's like, this is going to be what we put in here type thing?
I'll start with the first part.
Okay.
And so each student has their own folder.
Yeah.
Like each advisory teacher has a Google Classroom for their advisory, and each student has a folder within that Google Classroom that is their portfolio.
And does the
And-
district then sort of like subfolder it for them?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the portrait of a learner's got like, you know, if I remember correctly, it's got like sort of the 6.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, the
So, like,
folder with all the.
We gave them like
competency
sort of
areas,
an organized folder for them to go ahead and stuff digital examples of their
Yep.
work in. Okay.
They were also given a template presentation, which kind of broke down each skill area and then what should go here, what should go here. And so that was given to all the advisory teachers and all of the students.
Right,
And so they can tailor that as needed as they move forward. But
sure.
they are given the kind of the bones of the portfolio, number one, but also the presentation.
Okay.
And so, and then the advisory teacher, throughout the course of the year, will be acting as like a guide to the students, to making sure that number one, they're like doing the work, like they're
Right.
doing the portfolio piece.
Yeah.
The second part of your question, looking at like individual assignments, we don't necessarily want, say, Spanish teacher, for example, say this assignment should be in this category.
Right,
Because part of the process is like each student experiences that learning opportunity differently,
sure.
potentially. And so like you may look at it as a way to look at collaboration, but I may see it as a critical thinking opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that reflective process is going to be part of the, the step forward to identifying, learning styles and strengths and, areas of challenge and areas for growth for each
Right.
individual student. So we would prefer not to have a specific assignment labeled for a specific category
Yeah,
to give more flexibility for students.
right. It's good. And they receive help with their advisory staff
Yes.
member.
Yep.
Again, organized, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
And
think
the
it's-
group reads are like, I think the largest group we have is 17 students.
Yeah.
And that advisory has two advisories. It's Mr. Christie and Miss Benson. They share that one.
Right.
So,
I think it's,
Yep.
I think it's so, I think we all think it's so
Yeah,
great, cause
yeah.
like, when your kid comes home from school, you're like, how was school? You're like, good.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
nothing.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's all kids, and they're all good. And it's like, how was high school? Good. What'd you do? Like,
What you learn, nothing, probably.
yeah. So now it's like, come on, like
You have this
you
effort.
actually built this out over 4 years. Like, this is work you can be proud of. This is work you can talk about. You learned about yourself during this process. You could share this with others.
Yeah. So we do have those identified, like, big picture, big
Yeah.
learning opportunities for each course,
Right.
but we can all use those differently to identify how we,
It's the conversation.
what we learn from that.
Right. And then once they start talking about their own work, it's so much easier for them to just like become personable
Right.
to whoever it is. To whoever it is that they're talking, whether it's a college application, or
Sure.
a job interview, or an internship, or something.
Yep, and then that's why we gotta have some flexibility as well. It's not just tied to, academic work that can go
Right.
to the portfolio. We have so many kids that are involved in so many different types of activities and, whether it's in school or out of school, that they can tie into their portrait of a learner portfolios.
So it's the portrait of a learner in its entirety needs to be completed for the freshman upon graduation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when it first fully sets in.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we'll have some, even the current sophomores will be done.
Yeah.
Because as we ramp it up, we'll have more opportunities for kids to actually look at all 6 categories and
Right.
find evidence.
So it will be 2 competencies each year.
It was
cumulative,
it was two this year, and then ideally we can get 2 or 3 next year, and then as kids get more comfortable with the process, it'll be easier to go through all of them.
And they get to choose which 2 or?
This year they did, yes. And then I think, like I said, the process for the final presentations, like senior year, when we're fully implemented, there's a different strategies, I guess, like that we've seen schools use, in particular in Nipmuc, like they, in the end, identify one area of like tremendous strength. And they say, I am this kind of learner.
Yeah.
And they say, this is how I demonstrated that kind of learning. So they produce these like laminated 1-pagers. I never saw showcasing that kind of stuff. And so they really reflect on that. And yes, they have evidence for all 6 categories, but they really look at what their biggest strength is. So, we're working towards that process, and I think we'll figure it out as we go along.
We remain very excited about this.
Yeah. Are teachers finding it at all helpful to use the rubrics within the assessment? And instead of just A, B, C, but you have a rubric coming back to that rubric that they created
For
together.
the actual assignment.
So that's kind of the assessment. really.
Yeah, and so the assignments or learning opportunities themselves are graded like in the classroom. And so then students use that feedback from teachers to identify how they can use that for their portfolio.
Cool.
So while the portfolio itself is not graded, the assessments themselves were
Yeah.
at one point graded.
And just a quick question about the MTS
Yes.
data. So in the Academic Support Center, that's not just servicing students with IEPs and
No, it's-
anybody
it's-
who's
it's,
getting kind of tiered support.
Separate. Like, so like the students with IEPs generally go to the learning center, which is an entirely different location.
Oh, okay.
So the academic support center could be students who are receiving, at least this year, we hired mid-year a dedicated math support person in the ASC. So we have a lot of kids who are going down to Carmel for math support. Then we have some students with 504s who are in the ASC. We're doing some work with executive function in the ASC. So there's a variety of types of students, I guess you're going to call it that are in the academic support center, but it's not specific for students with IEPs, no.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, of course. And we're actually looking at ways to kind of advance the ASC going forward the next year to focus more on kind of a broader support for students around executive functions and those types of skills.
All right, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great presentations.
Yeah. Okay, so next up on the agenda, we have a report on DESE's Group A Integrated Monitoring Review. Director of Student Services, Lynn Snow, will provide an overview and update on the district's integrated monitoring review. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. So, as we know, DESE likes to keep us on our toes. They continue to evolve and rebrand. So I've talked several times about the different reviews that we have, the process, how it unfolds. They've revamped the process of district review specific to this as well. They love to keep things exciting for us, keep us on our toes. But before I start, I do want to really commend, I know all of the principals have given updates, but I really need to commend everybody who's been involved in the process directly or indirectly, because it's all the behind the scenes work that goes on that really takes months of preparation, reflection, self-assessment. The documentation and information gathering is vast. And so the process really touches every single school, almost every department, and really at nearly every role in the district in some way. So it does speak volumes to the district's commitment to continuous growth. And so now I'll dive in. So in Massachusetts, the role of public school monitoring is a unit within the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They oversee the performance and compliance of public schools across the state. Move on to the next slide. I'm just going to provide tonight a cursory overview of the process and just update you with where we're at in the process for Littleton with this particular review. It's a good one to use to learn about because of the depth and breadth of it. We do have reviews that are kind of going on at all times. We also had an EdSability review this year. We had an OLA one on our multilingual learners. And so they follow a similar process, but the scope is somewhat more limited. And so this slide just gives you a few resources that the Public School Monitoring Department offers. They do really provide a lot of resources that can be utilized for school districts, but also community members if they would like to learn about the process in a deeper way as well. So you can go on to the next slide. So one highlight of the 25-26 review, Keith touched on it, is the child find requirement, which under IDEA it mandates that school districts identify, locate, and evaluate children with disabilities who are in need of special education services, including those who are not yet enrolled, who are not enrolled in school. So focusing on district child find, it helps DESE ensure that all services, all students who require services are identified early. And so this is done through a lot of outreach to the community, private schools that are within the geographical boundaries of Littleton, daycares in Littleton, and as well as through pre-referral, the SST process, and having strong multi-tiered systems of support. We'll go on to the next slide. So over the past several years, DESE has significantly increased its focus on how districts implement and document tiered interventions and MTSS processes. So historically, many districts view tiered interventions as a general education support process that's separate from special education obligations. But now DESE is making it very clear that MTSS and child find responsibilities are deeply interconnected. The key concern that DESE is examining through these reviews is whether students are remaining in interventions for extended periods of time without meaningful progress monitoring, structured problem-solving discussions, adjustments to interventions based on data, or consideration of whether a special education evaluation may be warranted. And so DESE is not saying that students can't receive intervention prior to referral. In fact, high-quality tiered interventions, they're expected and appropriate. The issue is not simply how long a student has been receiving interventions, but it's whether the districts are adequately able to demonstrate what interventions are provided, how the progress was monitored, what data was reviewed, what decisions were made, and how teams determined whether continued interventions or a referral for evaluation was appropriate. And so this is why DESE is now reviewing the SST and MTSS documentation, intervention histories, progress monitoring data, meeting notes, and evidence of problem-solving discussions as part of the IMR process. This is a change. This is new to this year. And so DESE's expectations is that districts use MTSS as an active data-driven decision-making framework. The strong MTSS systems actually support Child Find by helping teams identify students through a systematic data review and intervention response. And so from a district perspective, it reinforces the importance of consistent documentation practices, clearly defined intervention cycles, and ongoing communication with families and collaborative decision-making regarding the referral consideration. So the goal is ensuring that students receive the right level of support at the right time, and whether that support remains within general education interventions or moves towards a special education evaluation and services. Next slide. And so this just it emphasizes that MTSS and special education are complementary but distinct systems. So for example, a student with an IEP who could be a really gifted writer but needs assistive technology or specialized interventions, they might not need a tier 2 writing intervention, while another student who doesn't have an IEP could benefit from that targeted intervention because they have challenges in that area. So it's really individualized paths for every student. So one of the data collection gathering methods that DESE had all of the schools collect is they provided us with a tiered interventions tracker, which is nice because now we're going to be able to kind of use that as a structured kind of system going forward. So we're all kind of all the schools are collecting the same documentation. And so between like 40 and 75 students are receiving tiered interventions in each school. It's important to know that data are fluid and that just like with special education, students can begin and end receiving interventions at any time. And it's really based on the progress monitoring. So students might receive interventions for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, as long as those intervention cycles are happening, the progress monitoring is happening, and the thoughtful conversations are happening about the interventions are working. We're going to continue with interventions. We don't suspect that there's a disability. We're seeing that the child is responsive to the intervention. So next is, because Group A for this review is focused on identification, IEP development, programming, and support services, there's only, I don't want to say only because it was a lot of documents that were reviewed, 3 document review criteria and items related to civil rights. So the way they look at it is this is a Group A review. So this one is very special education file heavy. It really looked deep at our MTSS and SST protocols, where Group B, it kind of splits these 3-year cycles into 2 different categories. That one is much more civil rights heavy. So they're looking much more at that. And then their on-site is more focused on looking at the facilities and going out into the buildings. And so the Civil Rights Criterion 13, that's related to ensuring equal access to education. And that just addresses the availability of information and academic counseling about general curricular options and occupational vocational opportunities for students. So this is designed to make sure that all students, regardless of their background or disability, can have access to information and guidance to make informed decisions about their education and career paths. So making sure that it's not just focused on like a college track, and making sure that students have access and knowledge and are educated about all different types of opportunities. Civil Rights Criterion 14 ensures that counseling services and counseling materials are free from bias and stereotypes. And this is designed to promote fairness and equality in how students are advised and supported in their academic and career planning. And then Criterion 18, it focuses on our early literacy screening and looks at whether the district has procedures in place to demonstrate that at least twice per year, the district assesses reading ability and progress in literacy skills for all students in kindergarten until at least grade 3, and that we're using a valid developmentally appropriate screening instrument that has been approved by the Department of Ed. And so then they also look at these indicators. So we look at special education indicators 11, that is child find. So they're looking at the school district's response to a parental request for evaluation, and that establishes compliance with the child find requirements and ensures that students are evaluated in a timely fashion. So they're looking to make sure that when a parent requests a special education evaluation, that we're responding to them within 5 days by either issuing a consent or issuing a different letter of why, justifying why we are not issuing a consent for an evaluation. And then if we issue a consent, they're looking to ensure that within 30 days we complete testing, and within 45 days the proposed IEP is in the parents' hands, and that when we propose an IEP, that after that meeting they have that within 5 days if it's not an initial. So that then SE12, special education 12, that's our turning 3 transition. And so this is called the Part C to B transition. And this refers to the process under IDEA where a child who has been receiving early intervention services, so birth to age 3, that they transition into special education without delay. So we are expected to, if we propose services for them, that at that birth date, when they turn 3, that we are ready to service them. There can't be a delay. They start on their 3rd birthday. And so the goal of this transition is really to provide a seamless shift into the educational services for children as soon as they reach school age, which is age 3, ensuring that their needs continue to be met effectively. And then SE, the indicator 13, is related to transition planning and services. So this looks at whether the student and the team vision and post-secondary transition sections of the IEP include the student's post-secondary goals. It looks at whether or not there are appropriate measurable post-secondary goals and that they're updated annually, and that the post-secondary goals are those goals, they're based on age-appropriate transition assessment. And so they're also looking to see that the IEP includes transition services, including courses of study that will reasonably enable the student to meet their goals, and that they're looking at the student's transition services and making sure that they match the student's vision as well. And so they will look at all of the evidence, and they also are looking to make sure that once in the year that the child turns 14, that they're invited to the IEP team meeting so that they can begin being part of those conversations. And then also they're looking at making sure that if there's a collateral or a participating agency like Mass Rehab or DDS, like that they're also invited to the team meetings as well. And they're also looking to make sure that we are providing the age of majority paperwork during the year that the child is 17 turning 18, because then when they become an adult, they are their decision makers unless they delegate to their parents, or unless they delegate to their parents as a shared decision maker. Next slide. And so this just gives you an idea of how the process unfolds temporally. And the only kind of edit to this is that our on-site week was pushed back and occurred in April, not March. And then a couple additions that I have is that in May, we received our preliminary feedback. And then our reviewer holds a debriefing meeting with the superintendent and the district lead for the review. And so that is where we are at right now. We had our debriefing meeting last week. And so then, just to circle back a little bit, one of the larger components of the Group A review is that DESE also reviews all of the district's special education procedures to ensure that they're up to date and aligned with laws and regulations. So we upload into their security portal our procedural manual where they go through it and make sure that everything is there and aligns with all of the laws and regulations. And so then the next step is that we're currently in the process is that we have a due date of June 1st to provide some additional information that was requested by our reviewer from principals, and then we will await their report. And so should there be any findings that require corrective action, the next phase is that we develop a corrective action plan, and then there's progress reporting that occurs with that. And so just to recap, the integrated monitoring process is inclusive of a discovery phase, an engagement phase, and then a closeout phase. And so the discovery prior to on-site, they review all of our system-wide data. The engagement is the activities that occur on-site or virtually through the issuance of the report. So a team of 4 reviewers came on site. They requested a number of our special education files that met certain criteria. A student who was just to give an example, a student who is age 14 or older with this particular disability category who had a 3-year reval within the past year. So they'll give us a number of criteria. We find a file that kind of meets those criteria. They give us the names and then they review those files. And then they have the ability to, when they're reviewing those files, to ask for additional files and to look. So they do a very deep dive. And then the closeout is that corrective action and progress monitoring. And so, as I said, the discovery phase is data collection and indicator submission. So we upload hundreds of documents into the security portal for the department to review. And then next slide, the engagement phase involves the review of the procedural merit, the on-site visit, the record review, and then our report. And then finally, again, the next slide, the closeout phase. If we have findings, there's a corrective action plan for any areas of finding. And the next slide. The next slide is my final slide. So if you have any questions, I thank you for letting me take you on a journey through the integrated monitoring review process. And can certainly answer any questions anybody has.
It really gives you a glimpse into the world that we deal with that you don't see. And it's very intensive, as just with this short presentation. This takes so much time on everybody's part. And administrators are involved in all of these reviews as well. That's part of central office that we never talk about. So we thought it was important tonight to bring you a glimpse of all the other stuff that we're involved in.
Yeah, teachers are interviewed, CPAC representatives are interviewed, parents, a survey is sent out, all of this. So they really do. It's got a pretty wide breadth.
That was going to be my question, or is it if any of the data, there was a lot of, this is all of our data. Do they ask family members? Do they ask the students themselves? I mean, are they gathering information from the whole community?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That was, as I went through, that was my big question. I'm like,
Yeah, we put out a press release and then the department requests a file, a spreadsheet for all of the email addresses for all families who have children on IEPs. And then the department actually sends out a survey to all families.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Thank you.
I was just doing some Googling here. So does this have a 5-year review process?
Yes,
A,
so-
B to B.
Yeah, so group A, so we're in group A, so
Right.
it's the 20,
2021
so they
last time.
call it the 25-26 on-site year.
Yeah.
So starting in the spring of last year, we do what was a self-assessment. There's no more self-assessment where we have the ability to kind of self-assess and correct. before, when it was a tiered focused monitoring, there would be a self-assessment phase where you would be able to kind of correct before you moved into that on-site year. Now you self-assess yourself. So we have been doing that, and then we had a due date of May 15th to do all of our preliminary document uploads. We did that, and then this year is considered our on-site year. So last year they would be considered that kind of self-assessment. This is our on-site year. And then the third year would be if we have corrective action, your corrective action plan, your progress reporting, and then reporting back on your corrective. That's the third year. So then the next year would be starting the group B cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last time we got a report was 2021, I think, looks like. On
It was, so we were group B and
2023.
yes, 2023, so 20, but the cycle got a little bit adjusted because.
It's not a trick question. I'm looking,
Yeah, no.
I'm looking at the report.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so there were
but the cycle was a bit off because DESE adjusted their timelines, even though districts weren't able to
Right.
use it. So they should have done their on-site actually in March of 2020.
yeah.
But then they did that when that year that I
Sure.
started.
COVID might have gotten away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it came back April 5th, 2021. There were no corrective actions. That was good. And I think, like you said, this is like constantly changing, evolving, really changing. When you submitted everything and you had your interviews, or is there any sort of like preliminary feedback? Were there areas of improvement or?
Yes, we have a pre-finding, so the
Which
nice
is okay,
thing.
by the way.
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you get audited and there's no findings, it's like. that's a
No,
little
we actually,
strange.
we actually had an incredibly clean review
Yeah.
this time around too. We have a pre-finding correction, which means that they mentioned that they're giving us a little bit more time. They see an area that they see might be of concern, but they believe that the district might have additional information that
Right.
they haven't, that we haven't provided.
Sure.
So the principals have been extremely responsive to me to say, I need your evidence of progress monitoring, of conversations and discussions around why or why not a child who was receiving tiered interventions was either referred or stayed receiving intervention. So I have received a multitude of documents that I have been uploading and will be continuing to upload. And if that satisfies this pre-finding correction, then we'll have no other things.
It's a public document, so we don't need a presentation of it. Could you just let us know when it gets published?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have, a message will go out through actually School Now.
Great.
Mhm.
Well, I just wanted to tell you how grateful we are for your expertise. We're lucky to have you, that you're able to not only understand special ed law so well, but the DESE requirements. This is so complex.
Yeah, they do like to keep changing it too.
Yeah, like just when you feel like you're proficient with it, they
Yeah.
swap it
Yeah, when
out.
I started, it was called a coordinated program review.
Yeah.
And then they shifted to a tiered focus monitoring, which was more of a supportive process. But then because of the findings that DESE got from the federal government, they've had to shift it back to this kind of integrated monitoring review, which is more somewhat similar to the coordinated program review of days past.
Well, it takes an incredible attention to detail to stay on top of all this. So thank you for that. And you know, it seems like so much reporting to DESE and so much accountability to DESE. I'm just always curious if you feel like you benefit at all from any of these protocols.
Absolutely.
Like, did you get any new ideas for progress monitoring or?
Oh, for sure. I think that's the nice thing. I mean, nobody wants to have like a finding, but it's nice that we've got this area that we're going to continue to work on to kind of tighten up our systems and have a consistent SST process across all of the schools, because it's just going to strengthen our multi-tiered systems of support, so that then all of the information is really kind of in and organized in a way that it's easily kind of accessible, and that it's a system that's also consistent and familiar to families all the way through kind of the vertical articulation.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Before you step away, you're up next for the next presentation as well. So
yes,
so don't get comfy. So our next presentation, also from our Director of Student Services, Lynn Snow. So you'll give an update on the Littleton Public Schools bullying plan.
Yes, this one will be far more brief. Just wanted to briefly review our bullying and intervention plan and give an overview of the district ongoing process for reviewing and updating the plan, because we do that every other year. It's required under Mass law. And the purpose of the plan is to ensure that students are able to learn in safe, respectful, supportive school environments that are free from bullying, cyberbullying, retaliation, discrimination, and harassment. And the plan is applied district-wide across all grade levels and emphasizes both prevention and response intervention. Next slide.
All right, there it is.
I love this. This is courtesy of ChatGPT. I love this beautiful infographic. I uploaded our district bullying plan and gave it a really wordy prompt, and it gave me this lovely infographic. But so what it does is it just summarizes that at the core, the plan outlines what bullying is and how it's defined under Mass law, the expectations for prevention and school climate, procedures for reporting and responding, supports and interventions for students, staff responsibilities, partnerships with families and the broader community. And the district approach is grounded in prevention first. So this includes explicit instruction in social emotional learning, which you hear infused through all of the principals' school-based updates. And then the school-wide behavioral expectations, stride part, things like that. Staff training, age-appropriate prevention curriculum, and building inclusive school communities where students feel connected, respected, and supported. And so the plan also establishes a clear reporting and response process, and reports may be made by students, families, staff members, or community members. They can also be made anonymously. When reports are received, administrators promptly investigate, notify families, and implement safety and support measures where appropriate, and determine if interventions or consequences when allegations are substantiated. And the focus is always on student safety. And one thing to note is that part of that, when a bullying report is made, in order for it to be investigated, it does need to meet the legal standard and the definition of bullying. And so in accordance with state requirements, we review and update the plan every other year. And so we look at the laws and DESE guidance to see if there's any updates that we just need to make weekly to our plan. We look at our district practices and procedures. We look at trends and data related to student behavior and school climate, as you heard Michelle mentioned. She's looking at walkie-call data. We're looking at students' behavior intervention plans. We're looking at, if there are students, any type of like suspensions, discipline, restraints, that kind of thing. And we gather feedback from administrators, staff, families, and stakeholders. So the principals will be meeting with their school-based leadership teams to gather any input and suggestions to consider to update the plan. And then in the fall, the updated draft plan will be presented to school committee for your review and approval, and before it's being readopted and shared publicly with families. Any questions?
What trends are you seeing? Are you seeing any changes kind of like the last years and the amount of bullying, maybe more, maybe less? Like, is there anything you're kind of gathering as you're?
It's certainly, we do not have a pervasive bullying issue. What I will say is that we have a lot of what would be considered social conflict among students. There are, allegations of bullying that the principals do look into regularly. And, some are substantially and some not, but I would say our rates are very low comparatively to a lot of other districts. And I think that speaks to all of the preventative measures that the schools put in place and really embracing the social emotional learning piece.
Thank you.
My question is, you said, so social conflict and the administration investigates whether or not the like took place. My understanding, my sort of like feedback to the community is, or I guess my question for you, is there any harm in a family pursuing or filling out and submitting a bullying form?
No.
So that's what I've generally been telling people, like if they're having an issue, right, there's conflict among students or whatever, and, they come to me as a school committee member and they like want me to solve their problems. And I'm like, fill the form out. Like fill the form out. Like it notifies
bullying. Yeah.
It notifies the administration. They have an obligation to respond. an investigation takes place and
If
like.
it meets yeah,
Yes,
that's
well,
the
that's
nice
just
thing,
it,
but it
like,
gives
it-
us the information
So an
to,
investigation sort of starts at the time that the form is submitted, because the form might be submitted in such a way that the administration determines this isn't bullying,
Yeah.
this is something
you'll
else.
assess, yeah.
But at least there's documentation
Right.
that the family's concern was heard and action was taken,
Mhm.
whether the action is, declined, accepted, investigation needs to take place, all that good stuff. So I just think like that's important for all of us to know. And I also think that perhaps maybe the community needs a better understanding of just fill the form out, like that, where you start is the form.
Mhm.
And every parent wants to protect their child, and there's no harm in filling out the form. Fill out the form, see what's there, and like let the school and the professionals take care of it. Because I think there oftentimes is frustration from families when they don't fill out the form and they have conversations or email exchange, and the administrator might determine this isn't bullying, but they oftentimes they don't feel heard completely. And if we would just say, start with the form, that sort of puts the district on the clock, they have to respond. That's the advice I've been giving folks, and I kind of wanted you to say that's what you should be doing, or there are issues with that, or.
No, I think it's helpful. There's no requirement that they have to fill out the form. Like, so we can take reports in verbally,
Yeah,
anonymously, but though I will say the form is great because it's helpful and it goes through Google form for it. So it's very simple to do.
right,
There's no requirement on you didn't give enough information, so we can't accept what you've put in. It does kind of prompt and initiate that initial reach out to the family to gather more information, to get context, to get a deeper understanding of the allegations, so that we can determine like if the allegations, if true, would meet the criteria.
It's also important for our families to realize that even if it isn't bullying, that doesn't mean the corrective action is taken.
100%.
Right.
And
A
sometimes
lot of
they-
times it's just the social
there's a
conflict.
disconnect there.
They need a guided conversation to work it out, and it flushes itself out.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
How would you go about making an anonymous report through the form, or just like if I wanted to be anonymous in my report?
Yep, because through the form, you have to enter your email
Okay.
address. Yeah. And your name, you can leave those blank.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so the form doesn't track email addresses.
Just IP addresses. So.
Yeah.
We don't have time.
So
Is he doing deputy reviews?
is the plan,
And the
Articulate.
other anonymous way is that we do have anybody can, each of the buildings needs to have paper forms available that can be picked up by somebody that they can hand out and send in if they really didn't want to have like an IP address or something like that. Yes.
is there a different version of the plan for the different
voicemail.
grade spans,
They can
or
call.
is it one
One
plan
form.
for the whole district?
One plan.
But then the way it's communicated at the schools is a whole different story, right?
Yes.
Because it would have to be age appropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the planner does run that.
Okay. It's a great graphic.
I love
Yeah, I
it.
like that.
It'd be great to blow up components of it for messaging.
Yeah.
There's a lot on there,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it kind of encapsulates it in a nice, very aesthetically pleasing way.
yes.
Easily digestible.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much, Lynn.
Yes.
Okay, so next up on the agenda is the post-secondary plans for the class of 2026.
And I know we're-
Superintendent Kelly Clenchey is going to summarize the various schools that our 2026 high school graduates will be attending.
And we sent this out after the package was posted. I was writing something the other week, actually the other day, and I used the phrase, one should choose curiosity over fear. And when I look at this class, it's not different than other classes that have graduated, but you see very vividly that our students are willing to be curious learners and apply and go to colleges that may not be comfortable to them at this point in time. They're all over the nation and all over the world. There's one in Spain, Dublin. I mean, it's just really interesting. And again, it is getting late. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we just quickly just skim what's in front of you. It's amazing in terms of what our students are doing in terms of venturing now. And the ones that are staying locally, you know, kudos to them. They found what they needed closer to home. And we always have a couple of students that choose the military. One's joining the United States Army, and the other one is has been accepted into West Point, which is really difficult to do. And you can see a great variety of universities, you know, University of Maine, Rhode Island, California, Florida.
Might have been because of that rough winter we had.
Yes, yeah, it could be. You know, I the one that stood out to me, they all stood out, but one that, you know, University of Holy Cross, College of Holy Cross. I'm not sure where they're going to go at this point in time, but from what I've been reading, there's been a number of universities that are going to backfill for those students.
Oh, Holy Cross is one of the ones that's
Yes.
closing down.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
And
hard.
maybe they'll phase it out. I'm not sure exactly how quickly it's going to shut its doors. But anyway, kudos to our students. It's just always really inspirational to see what our students are doing from year to year.
An impressive list.
Yeah,
It is.
good spread. I mean,
Are there?
I'm also interested that students aren't going to college with their friends, like they're going off, they're doing their own thing. And, you know, obviously we'll have a lot of kids going to Middlesex and to UMass, the different campuses of UMass. But other than that, it's like one by one by one, they're
Yes.
just going out into the world. It's very
What a,
exciting.
you know, what a great skill set. to
Yeah.
have that you feel comfortable venturing out
Yeah.
at that age. So I'm really proud of what our students do.
That can be wrong. I think it's Ave Maria College.
Oh, is it? Is that the wrong one?
Holy Cross is pretty well established.
Let me take that off the record.
The minutes reflect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna question you too. I'm like, I think I would have heard.
Yeah.
that.
It's the oldest Catholic school in New England.
I have them confused.
Well, that's good news.
Yes.
Very.
My
For all
apologies.
across.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all the
And that's
kids,
student, that one's student.
all the kids accepted.
Yeah.
Can't imagine. I mean, good on them, because it's a scary time too. And even if we're just saying and accepting that there are schools that are closing, and these kids are like, yeah, I'm gonna get out there anyway.
Yeah.
Go down.
Yeah.
That's a lot of guts.
Any other comments about post-secondary plans?
Oh, they're a terrific representation of the graduating class.
Yep.
Absolutely. Job well done.
Yep.
K-12.
Congratulations. Yeah.
June 5th.
And you'll get to speak to all of them, right?
Yes. Congratulating them on June 5th.
Do we have a district slideshow?
We do, and for the sake of brevity, it's really nice to be able to bring what's happening in our schools to the school committee. We have a lot of presentations throughout the year. We've made numerous attempts bringing students to the school committee meetings, but I mean, the opposing forces are our students are really busy, and it's later at night, and it's just hard to be able to find time for our students to come and do presentations. Every now and again, we get lucky, but so I think it's really important to show a slideshow like this. I've been doing this for years, and special thanks to Julie Lord and some high school students that help out with these presentations. But it truly, you know, brings the schools to you, and we know pictures say 1,000 words. So let's hope it works. After that, let's hope it.
We would want to deprive it this final year.
Exactly.
Hey, you're gonna need. Hold on. Come on, let's do this. No. All right, hold on 1 second. Sure, you're that audio.
always love seeing the slideshow. Is it possible to get the link to that? It's not in the
Sure, we can.
packet.
Yeah,
We can send that out.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to just be able to see the energy in our schools.
Yeah. Was that the turkey trot? Did they still have that? I saw a kid with drumsticks.
Yeah.
I
Turkey
was like, that must be the turkey trot.
I'm glad they're still doing that.
Well, please thank the folks that put that together.
I will.
That was great. Okay, so moving on to the financial update. Business manager Steve Mark will give the financial update.
Okay, so thank you. Reports on the screen, it's in the packet. I'm actually excited to come out to the slideshow, for once. Because I think the slideshow really highlights what the budget is going toward, right? So you saw a state-of-the-art technology, you saw state-of-the-art facilities that are clean and well maintained, heat, light, power, all that. We're able to accomplish all that within the current budget. We're not worried about running out of money for the year, so we have sufficient funds to support all these programs. And start planning for next year as well. So I'm happy to answer questions, but the good news is financially, we're in good shape through the end of the year. Again, I'm just thankful that school committee fights for the budget, and we have the budget and the funds to support the program that everybody works on. High quality teachers, state-of-the-art equipment, facilities, transportation, all of that is covered. So yeah, it's great. The slideshow was great.
Well, I just love that you continually bring us good news.
It's good news.
Yeah. Interesting.
Steve, I'll ask a question. So this is gonna bring us to June 30th. We've got 5 weeks left. And right, a lot of the salaries continue over the summertime, totally get that explanation there you provided previously. We're only at a 52% spend on special ed, but I know that we can have some big ticket expenses as we get close to June 30th. Of the $3.2 million remaining, do we foresee all of those funds going out for June 30th, which would be likely prepaid for next year?
We will likely be able to prepay some sped tuition for next year.
Yeah.
Out of this, we actually had some students that dropped out of the program this year that we didn't know about before. Some high cost students drop out of that program, so we will not expend everything that we expended, that we expected and budgeted for special ed tuition. That allows us to prepay some tuition for next year. Allows us to reinvest some of those funds this year into some building projects. As well.
They didn't drop out, though. I just want to clarify. There's students who like out, and so they didn't. Yes.
Right.
So off of our expenses.
Correct.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. I mean, yes.
Difference.
Yeah.
It's not our fiscal responsibility because they moved out of district, but hope, that student is getting support in the other town. So,
Hey, listen,
so we're in good shape.
but better to have it that way than the other way around, which
Yes.
is,
Yes. Yeah. And it could happen.
like the facilities. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
It's only 103%. It's fine.
Well, that's likely to go up
Yeah.
as we shift some funds around at the end of the year. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All set?
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
So now we have that signature authorization that was foreshadowed earlier when we were talking about the subcommittee assignments. So the accounts payable and payroll. So business manager Steve Mark will review the signature authorizations requested by the town of Littleton.
Right, so there's a letter in your packet that explains what's needed. So typically, school committees are required to have 3 authorized signers for both payroll and accounts payable warrants. Some school departments do that. Some cities and towns require 3. There is provisions that school committee can vote to assign one person to be that authorized person. That's what we've done for a number of years here. So instead of 3 school committee members reviewing accounts payable packets, you assign it to one person to review on behalf of the school committee. So that's what we're looking to do. If the school committee decides to continue with that practice, is approve one person as the authorized signer for payroll and one person, usually the same person, as the authorized signer to approve the accounts payable warrants. And then again, those are done through a DocuSign document. So you're no longer having to come into the office and sign physical paper. It's a DocuSign document that you can review. You can drill down, you can see the detail if you want to and things like that. So that's what the town is looking to see if we want to continue with that.
Yeah. And that's the thing that it happens every Friday.
I think it's
It's every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks payroll, every 2 weeks accounts payable, and then that same person also gets authorized. Well, no, that's not true. It would be the chairman.
Yeah,
If we do journal entries to move funds from one fund to another fund appropriated to revolving or whatever, we need to move some funds around. Those journal entries have to be signed by the chairman. We deal with that on a DocuSign basis as well. We don't do a lot of those. We will have some of those, and there are always some as we reclass items and things like that, but
Yeah.
this is primarily the accounts payable and the payroll
Yeah.
authorization and warrants. So we just need a committee member to be that authorized representative.
Yeah.
And typically it's been the chair, but.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I'm happy
have
to
to be.
do that.
yeah, I mean,
I have the capacity
I
for that.
recommend, yeah, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's literally a click. I recommend if we stick with one person. I will say, like, believe that all 5 select board members sign it, maybe they have to per charter or whatever. And I think once you see it, you know, you might ask a question of Steve, or you might call a select board member like, hey, did you look at this, blah, blah, blah. But once you start to see him,
Mhm.
you get pretty familiar with him. If you ever need help, you can ask me, you can talk to Steve. It would be redundant to have multiple people, in my opinion, looking at it.
Yeah, I had to sign it as well, and I had the
Unless you're
details,
part
and you
of
can
the
see the
investment.
details. So if there's any questions, you just call and we can answer any question. Hey, what are we spending $100,000 on? We can answer the question.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to do that. So we'll need a motion then.
Yes, we need a formal motion vote.
I move that Elaine Sansman be nominated to be signature authorization person for accounts payable, bills, and payroll.
So that was a nomination, so you're moving to a point.
Yeah, we get a point.
Okay.
Sure.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Motion carries.
We'll do the minutes and send that authorization to the town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is the second opportunity for interested citizens. I don't see anyone in person, anybody online?
There's nobody online.
Okay. So now let's get to the subcommittee reports. So PMBC, Shauna?
Yeah, PwC is actually going right now.
Okay. Anything from the budget subcommittee?
I don't have anything to report.
Nothing new.
No. Policy subcommittee, is that
That's it.
still on hold?
That's on hold until the new superintendent is able to work with us.
Okay. And Shaker Lane Building Committee, anything?
I mean, not really. I guess I was being vice chair and did board with Kelly. But also just want to give a shout out to Mary Lee. She went on to a podcast and talked about the sustainability piece. So yeah, I'm sure we were killing it on that. But yeah, some good stuff there. Check it out.
Awesome. And then finally, the communications subcommittee.
Yeah, I had Mike then on the podcast. Obviously, all of us got the opportunity to go to the retirement ceremony, which was great. But it was a great conversation, a lot of reflection on his time here. So I enjoyed that.
He's leaving behind quite the legacy.
It is.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Sheep to fill. Okay. Well, now we're going to move into executive session for union contract negotiations. So I'm going to need a motion to enter into executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions pursuant to Mass General Law. You say that, C 30A 21A3.
So moved.
Are you going to
Second.
return?
No.
And we will not reconvene in open session.
So moved officially.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, okay, motion carries. We'll